Yes, we're gonna do this. I tuned in to the EA Play livestream last night, just in time to see the only game I was really interested in, Star Wars Squadrons. Now, before you all synchronize your watches and phones for a collective groan that will shake the wounded Star Wars universe Jon Favreau is only just nursing back to health from the last time it fell from its rather shoddily constructed nest, let's have a look at what EA have to offer this time. Or should I say, what Motive Studios has to offer this time? No, I shouldn't, because to paraphrase William Shakespeare, a rose by any other sneaky-ass name would still make overhyped video games that often bring crushing disappointment to generations of Star Wars fans and ask you to pay twice for the privilege. I'm sorry, I did what I asked you not to there, didn't I? Although I invoked Billy Shakespeare, so you can't be mad, and those are the rules. Yes, Motive is a studio of EA. And Motive's creative director, Ian Frazier, claims to be a lifelong Star Wars fan and brought along the childhood drawings dug freshly from his parents' attic to drive the point home in the unlikely event that we weren't entirely convinced by the sincerity of his scripted delivery. That's probably completely unfair, to be honest. It seems very likely, given his age, the fact that he works in the gaming industry, and the fact that he's human, that he might well have been a lifelong Star Wars fan. I mean, how many of us haven't? So there I was, all ready to be underwhelmed when he says,
"There was a really small group of us that were really into particularly the pilot experience within Star Wars."
And I'm all, "Oh, come here, Ian, I can't stay mad at you guys, you're just like me." Yes, flying was always my main interest in Star Wars games, and in life, really. All in all, I'm a fairly useless gamer, but if I do have a gaming strength, it's flight. And the original sit-down Star Wars game from 1983 is still my favourite arcade game of all time. So we dive into the cockpit in Star Wars Squadrons to see some quote-unquote gameplay footage, and it all looks amazing, as it usually does in these sorts of reveals. There's a single-player campaign, which has you playing on both sides of the Galactic War, following the events of Return of the Jedi in a somewhat fresh, dual-perspective story, which sounds profoundly interesting. But if history is anything to go by, will more than likely turn out to be about as deep as the skin of a freshly shaven soap bubble. So then, I'm rubbing my hands together as they announce Star Wars multiplayer modes, and first up is dogfights. These are 5 versus 5 battles, so, hardly the aerial conflict of the century, but should be an interesting bit of fun, which will doubtless have to be run on a victory point system in order to make a 5v5 space battle last longer than a Jedi pinata. Next up, described as Star Wars Squadrons' signature mode, we have Fleet Battles. Played solo or with friends, against other players, or against AI opponents, these are once again 5-player affairs, but are broken up into 3 stages, starting with a dogfight, and then moving on to a capital ship attack defend battle, and ending with a massive flagship assault. So if you're anything like me, right about now you're probably thinking, this is just Battlefront 2 with the ground assaults taken out. But it's much more than that. It's Battlefront 2 with the ground assaults taken out and replaced with Ewok bobbleheads. And in case you're waiting to see what other multiplayer modes there are, I'll save you some time, there aren't any. At least none that were shown in that reveal. So far, other than customization options, unfortunately there do seem to be a few more options than simply using irritating plastic space bears as deadly blind spots for fighter pilots. It does rather seem as though they simply picked up the space element of BF2, wiped its ass, pulled up its trousers and bought it a new hat. So I'm not terribly encouraged by Ian Frazier's carefully scripted words, no matter how many felt pen Star Wars drawings his mum had stuck to the fridge when he was a kid. But, to be honest, for all my tough talk, I'm a Star Wars fan and a virtual flyboy, so I'll be right at the front of the queue for Star Wars Squadrons, and will almost certainly be playing this in my live streams when it releases on October 2nd. So you can come and watch me explode in a variety of differently coloured ships, if you like, when that happens. That's all from me, but you can follow me on Twitter at knights_arcade if you want to hop on there and join conversations about this and many other games coming up. You can catch me on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at the link in the description below. Let me know your thoughts about Star Wars Squadrons in the comments below, or simply leave a like if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to see more from me in the future, and ring the bell to be notified every time I post new content. But until next time, from Knights Arcade, this is Sleepless Knight saying nighty-night.